If you own the DJI Mini 4 Pro and are considering upgrading to the Mini 5 Pro, we're going to take you through the differences we've found so far and help you decide if it's worth the upgrade or not. For the last couple years, we've been using the DJI Mini 4 Pro as our travel drone when we just need a quick shot of an exterior of a building or just a couple of quick drone shots to punch up a production. And it's great. It's under 250 grams, it's easy to travel with, it's reliable, it does decently in wind, and the image quality is good enough for most things that we're doing in this situation. Now that the Mini 5 Pro is out, we've had a chance to fly both and do some comparison. So let's start with the number one thing, and that is the camera. The DJI Mini 5 Pro has a 1-inch sensor, and you can definitely see the difference between the cameras, especially when you zoom in a little bit. The two biggest advantages of the 1-inch sensor in the Mini 5 Pro are that you can zoom in and not have as much loss if you're zoomed in a little bit digitally, and also in low light. It's going to look a lot better, collect a lot more light, and it's just going to give you clearer, less grainy and gritty images than the 1/1.3 sensor in the Mini 4 Pro. If you look at the rocks on the side of this little tower, you can see with the zoom in on the Mini 5 Pro, the image is much clearer than when you're zoomed in on the Mini 4 Pro. Again, it's a kind of night and day difference when you're zoomed in, a little harder to see when you're all the way zoomed out. Another big thing that's really easy to quantify is that the Mini 5 Pro has 42 gigabytes of internal storage, so you don't need an SD card to record quite a bit of video using that internal storage, whereas the Mini 4 Pro has 2 gigabytes, so it's really just an emergency situation where maybe your card is full or you forgot your card and you just need to get one shot. If you want to fly in darker conditions or at night, the Mini 4 Pro has a separate night mode that boosts the ISO a little bit higher and gives you a little bit better low light performance, but you'll start to see a lot of noise in the footage because of the smaller sensor. While the Mini 5 Pro has that high ISO without having to change any settings. You just fly with it and it can go into darker conditions. It's a little bit of a software difference, but you can definitely see that the footage on the Mini 5 Pro looks better because of the 1-inch sensor. And while we're on the topic of improved tech on the Mini 5 Pro, it does have LiDAR, which the Mini 4 Pro does not have. The obstacle avoidance is going to work better in challenging conditions, shady areas, and low light conditions on the Mini 5 Pro. Another thing that I'm very excited about with the Mini 5 Pro is the dynamic home point. Dynamic home point allows you to actually move with the remote controller, and it resets that home point dynamically so that if it does have to do a return to home, it's going to come to you where the controller is, versus a static home point, which the Mini 4 Pro will allow you to update the home point as you're flying, but you have to remember to do it or else it's going to go to wherever it took off from. So for dynamic home point on the Mini 5 Pro, it didn't actually land when I hit return to home. I had to be far enough away from where it started for it to move. If I was too close to it, it was just going to stay where it was. It needed to see a new home point that was further away. So I moved away, pushed the button, and then it came and just hovered over us at the preset height, which I had at 160 feet. So basically, it does come back to you, but it doesn't land unless you tell it to once it's there. So I actually think that's a little more versatile, because if you're on a boat or something like that, it's not going to try to land in a wrong spot. It's going to let you manually land it, but it is going to come back to you and just hover over you so that you can actually land it safely. We've tried them both in the wind, and we have seen a little bit of challenge. It's just due to the size of these things. Flying them in the wind is a bit challenging. It seems like the gimbal and the steadiness of the footage on the Mini 5 Pro is a little bit better. You don't see as much shake when there's high wind and you're trying to do an orbit around something, for example. But they both have some challenges. If you watch a video that Chris did about the Mini 5 Pro where he was flying it in high wind and the battery got low, it definitely was having some challenges in that wind. So I wouldn't recommend either of them for really high wind, but I would say that the footage is going to look a little better on the Mini 5 Pro, and it just seems to hold itself a little more steady in heavy wind. One other advantage we've seen on the Mini 5 Pro is the quick release props. Most DJI drones have quick release props, but the Mini 4 Pro did not. You had to unscrew them, as was the case on all the Minis before it. This is the first Mini series to have quick release props, and if you've ever tried to get these props off using a little tiny screwdriver, it can be frustrating. It takes a lot of time. You can lose the little screw and then you're screwed, so to speak. So having these quick release props is a big improvement and definitely something I would say is an advantage for the Mini5 Pro. We haven't done a flight time test, so I'm not 100% sure about this, but according to the literature from DJI, the Mini4 Pro has about 2 minutes less flight time than the Mini5 Pro, coming in at around 34 minutes for the 4 and 36 minutes for the 5. One other small improvement that the Mini5 Pro has is the frame rate when it comes to slow motion. The frame rate for 4K slow motion on the Mini5 Pro is 120 frames per second versus 100 frames on the Mini4 Pro. That means you're going to get a little bit smoother, slower motion than you were on the Mini4 Pro, but it's a small improvement, not dramatically different. We always thought that the 100 and 200 frames per second on the Mini4 Pro was a little weird because it was a number that wasn't a normal frame rate. 120 and 240 frames are pretty standard for slow motion, and therefore on the Mini5 Pro feel more like a pro camera that would be doing slow motion at 4K. While both cameras will go to the vertical position if you want to shoot vertical video, one thing that's an advantage for the Mini5 Pro is this rotation, 180 degrees of rotation that you can do with the gimbal as you're filming. It gives you this kind of cool spinning effect, and we haven't found a way to start with it upside down and go to right side up. That may be just a setting, or maybe it's an update that's coming, but right now you have to go from right side up to upside down and then just turn it over in post. In addition to that barrel roll effect, you can also go from -40 to +40 degrees on the gimbal. So it gives you kind of this weird little Dutch tilt sort of thing going on with the gimbal. It's another effect if you find it useful. It's kind of like the star wipe on a switcher. You don't use it very often, but when you do, hopefully it's appropriate.
So another way you can use the gimbal roll is to actually do it manually. And what's interesting about this is you go into your settings, you go into button customization, and there's a drop down for gimbal roll about halfway down the screen. And this allows you to use the left C button, which is this one here, C1, with your left hand, and the right dial, and manually roll the gimbal. You can roll it to the right 45 degrees, or you can roll it all the way over to the left at 180 degrees, which is upside down, which would be very, very interesting to fly in. But what this is going to allow you to do is to do that gimbal roll move manually instead of as a quick shot. Yeah, it turns green when it's on 0. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can roll in vertical mode too.
We also compared the sound between the Mini4 Pro and the Mini5 Pro, and we were surprised that the Mini5 Pro actually has a more pleasant tone. It's a lower tone, it's less buzzy sounding, and it actually was just slightly quieter, coming in around 88, 89, sometimes 90 dB, whereas on the Mini4 Pro, the sound was coming in at 89, 90, 91. A little bit quieter, but definitely a more pleasant sound from the Mini5 Pro. One other thing that the Mini5 Pro can do is a smart return to home, where if you send it out and maybe you send it through something like through an arch or under a cover, and you send it away and then you hit return to home, it's gonna follow the same path back to you that it did when it went out. So it can go under things, under trees, etc. Whereas with the Mini4 Pro, it'll just do the standard return to home, which is to come over and try to come down. So if you're standing under something with the Mini4 Pro and you hit return to home, you'll probably have to cancel it because it might land on the roof. Whereas with the Mini5 Pro, it's gonna follow the same path it took out, knowing that it can come back the same way. To activate this smart return to home, there is a setting that you have to do in the app so it will follow the same path back that it took on the way out. So up to this point, we've talked about reasons the Mini5 Pro is superior to the Mini4 Pro and maybe worth upgrading. But we want to give you a few places where the Mini4 Pro is actually a little bit better and edges out the Mini5 Pro. First one, and the biggest one, is weight. With the lightweight battery in the Mini4 Pro, it comes in at 249 grams, which means you don't have to register it and you can fly it in more places. With every battery in the Mini5 Pro, it's coming in well over 250 grams, and therefore isn't really in that sub 250 category anymore, meaning that you'd have to register it just like you would with the Air 3S or the Mavic 4 or any other DJI drone over 250 grams. So if you're flying recreationally, the Mini 4 Pro may be a better choice because you can fly it in more places with less hassle. Kind of a minor thing, but a little bit of an advantage for the Mini 4 Pro is the way you put the filters on the camera lens. You just do a quarter turn to take it off and a quarter turn to put the new one on. Whereas the way you put the filters on the Mini 5 Pro is a little more fussy and finicky. It just seems a little harder to take them on and off. Also with the Mini 4 Pro, there's an existing frame that's already there that you take off and you put the new filter on. And with the Mini 5 Pro, you're just adding it to the existing camera, which adds just a tiny bit more weight. It's a small amount, but it might be enough to make the gimbal have to work a little harder. Let's talk about software for a second. The software on the Mini 4 Pro seems to actually be a little bit more versatile and a little bit more well-developed than the Mini 5 Pro software. And by that I mean Mastershots particularly. The Mastershots on the Mini 4 Pro all happen within one file. So you hit master shot, you let it do its thing, and you get one file with the entire master shot of all the moves it made. With the Mini 5 Pro, it actually breaks them into sections, and those sections aren't seamless, so it doesn't allow you to actually put them together in one smooth motion if that's what you're going for. There also seems to be a little more granularity to the controls on the Mini 4 Pro for master shots, whereas with master shots on the Mini 5 Pro, it doesn't seem to give you as many options. So if you want something that's just simple, set it and forget it, the Mini 5 Pro is there. If you want to have a bit more control over it, the Mini 4 Pro seems to have an advantage. Another software thing that the Mini 4 Pro has that the Mini 5 doesn't is parallel mode, where it will face a certain direction. Let's say you want it to face east, and it will always face that direction while it's following you. If you walk towards it, it'll back away. If you walk away from it, it'll follow you that direction. But it doesn't yaw at all. It just stays in that same plane facing the same direction. The Mini 5 Pro does not seem to have that feature built into it yet. So the Mini 5 Pro does have a cycling mode for active track. We couldn't really tell the difference between normal active track and active track with cycle mode on. It seemed to be about the same, but it was better than the Mini 4 Pro in terms of how it tracked, how well it reacted, and the paths it seemed to choose as it was tracking somebody on a bicycle, walking, whatever. So I do think they've improved the active track on the Mini 5 Pro, but the cycling mode doesn't really seem to give you any different results. We're gonna test it more, but right now we're thinking just active track is better on the Mini 5 Pro, snappier, quicker, and makes better decisions about where it's going. The Mini 4 Pro also requires you to set it if you want to have it tracking you low to the ground, like actually more at eye level. Whereas the Mini 5 Pro, wherever you put it height-wise, it'll just track you at that height. So as you may know, if you leave a drone just sitting in the powered on state to transfer footage or something like that, it will tend to overheat a little bit because drones are designed to be moving with airflow over them. With the Mini 4 Pro, you have to turn it on in order to transfer footage to your phone. With the Mini 5 Pro, there is a low power state that allows you to transfer footage without the drone actually being on. So the new DJI Mini 5 Pro has a thing called Quick Transfer. We usually fly the Mini 5 Pro with the RC2, but if you want to transfer footage directly to your phone so you can upload it or edit it in your phone, you can do that. You open up the DJI Fly app, and when you do, there is a little button that says Quick Transfer, which I'll go ahead and tap. And then it's searching for the drone. We thought the drone was in kind of a low power mode if you just turned it off and that it would find it. So before you try Quick Transfer on the drone, you're going to want to have your controller connected to the drone, have the drone on, and then go into your menu. You go to Camera, and there is a switch here that says Allow Quick Transfer in Sleep. And you can toggle that on or off, make sure it's toggled on, and then it will allow it to actually transfer things while it's asleep. But what I did before was I just tapped the power button and it started to do this little dance with the lights, and then it showed up here in the app. So I will tap on it, and then it's gonna see it, and it's gonna join it via Wi-Fi, I believe. Yep, so there we go, join. So we had already done this once, so I think once you've done it once, maybe it establishes trust between this device and this device. But before, the first time we did it, I had to hold down the power button for 3 seconds in order to allow it to join the network. But now we've joined. This is some footage that Chris shot. I can go ahead and download this footage. You can do a full download or a trimmed download. So I guess you can edit it and then download it. I'll just download this whole full clip. And then once you've done that, you should be able to go to your photos. So the footage I downloaded just now from the drone was shot a couple of days ago, so I had to find it in chronological order in my camera roll. And here it is. This is the footage from a couple of days ago. It's a full resolution version of it. You can see the lens flare and the sun and this beautiful shot that Chris got. And so it is kind of a handy thing if you want to get quickly to the footage and be able to edit on your phone or upload it to social media immediately. Also, I want to correct something that I said in the unboxing that wasn't accurate. The batteries are not necessarily cross-compatible. They do fit in each drone. You can flip them back and forth. But when it comes to actually flying, you can fly the Mini5 Pro with the Mini4 Pro and the Mini3 Pro batteries. You can't go backwards though. The Mini5 Pro batteries do not work in the Mini4 Pro or the Mini3 Pro. You get an error when you try to fly. So if you've got a Mini4 Pro, you've got a drone that looks great and gets amazing footage in bright light and when you don't zoom in. Where you might consider upgrading to the Mini5 Pro is if you want to fly in the evening in lower light and get better footage in the dark and have a little bit more safety because of the LiDAR as far as obstacle avoidance. If you want to have a little bit improvement of active track for getting action stuff and having it avoid obstacles while it's flying through trees and stuff like that, those are the small iterative things that the Mini5 can do that the Mini4 can't. So it's really up to you. If you want those things, the Mini5 Pro does them a little bit better than the Mini4 Pro does. But if you don't want to spend the money, the Mini4 Pro is still a great option and it's under 250 grams, which is huge if you take it with you and want to fly in a variety of places. We'd love to hear your thoughts about the Mini5 Pro versus the Mini4 Pro. Please leave comments below. We'll be sure to get back to you. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Ready, Set, Drone.